Time to close my camera.
You look lovely, Link, as always. Trust me.
Thanks.
Right. Okay. Let's get the screens running. I'm going to do a bit of a shout out for Balaji. Balaji, that's your NFT, by the way. He was the first one to go and buy outside us doing our tests. So he bought a Palladium a token for good health and well-being this morning or yesterday. In fact, it was, wasn't it? It may be worth, Balaji. Firstly, thank you for doing this, but it may be worth you sharing your experience in doing this before we go and look at the website. How did it go for you?
I think Balaji
Balaji's
might be
frozen.
stuck.
It's easy told, Ash.
Sorry, has he gone?
I think he's frozen.
Frozen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's frozen. Okay, we'll come back to it. But let's go here. So that's what we put together. I don't know how many. I've seen Sachin's registered. Nick, I think you were registering today. I haven't caught up with who's registered, but we've had a few people who come in. Dinesh has registered as well. So this is what we put together. It brings to life all the discussions from last year. It the whole idea has three distinct parts. The ideas
Are
in.
you sharing something?
Oh, look, I have really forgotten, haven't I? How this works. There you go. That's what I should have done. But there you go. Can you see this now?
Yes.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah, yeah.
I'll go back to did Balaji come back to life? Then I can go back to the start of the call and show his.
Now he's frozen again.
It's frozen. So that's the Palladium token which I was pointing at, but obviously you guys couldn't see. So that's what Balaji minted earlier today. And this was the website I was talking about. So we've got the site here. Of course, it's been tested mainly for Chrome on Mac, as in it's the very most limited combination you can think of, but we will keep testing against other things. So if it doesn't work on mobiles, that's the main reason why that is the case, although we did do some basic work. At a high level, this brings the core concepts to life. The three core concepts being the network itself, so the human network. The second part is the ideas incubator, and the third part is blockchain for impact. So those three concepts come together on this website. If you remember, some of you were on the last call when I shared the business model that underpins everything, and that we talked about the J, K, and D characters. So this one tries to bring that to life. So J is the um, entrepreneur, essentially an impact entrepreneur who wants to do something but create a difference at the same time. K is the person who enjoys her job 9 to 5 but wants to do more with her skills, do something good, create impact. And then finally there is D, who has the money but wants to grow it, but wants to put it into meaningful, create some wider impact from this. So that's what we've played in on the concepts. So the J, K, and D concepts bring the three aspects to life, and then each of these have a specific landing page, which then explains what this idea is all about, what benefits are there. And again, the copy is very much words to express the thought behind it, but not necessarily the most crisp version that one can find or the most marketing heavy version. At this stage, it was really to get this working. The more interesting part, though, so and then there's a landing page for network, there's a landing page for invest, and I'll just quickly flash these so that you can see what is happening there. But these are those pages. Then for the network, there is that page, which again shows you what it looks like. Most of the work has been on the functional side, so you can go in and join and become a member. I'm going to go and it's obviously pre-registered, so oops, I think that's my password. as simple as
That's very secure of you.
very, very secure. But this is where most of the work was. So once you log in, and again, bear in mind, this is very much a stake in the ground, bare minimum MVP. So again, it's got no bells and whistles, lots of typos, lots of errors, that kind of thing. But it brings out those core concepts. We talked about circles last year, circle one being the first circle of many, and the leading circle that only this lot will have access to 5 circles. Everyone has access to 4, but you can go into it, and then it brings that to life as a concept. Oh wow, somebody else has requested healthy eating. Great. So what is happening here is, as a member, you can say, my passion is, and I'm just going to change that for now, I like hackathons, let's say. So it will say one other member has requested hackathon. 7 members are from UK already, so that's interesting. A few people have come in today, looks like. But once we get to a critical mass, because with 7 people, you can't really form a circle. But I think if we had about 20, 25 in a particular circle, then that's enough to get some momentum behind the circles and the concepts that go with it. Our target will be, of course, giving each person 150 members in each of the circles of their preference. These have again been seeded with some examples, and Dinesh, you sent a couple of requests, so we'll put those. They were very fair requests, as in sustainability was one. I thought that was great. We didn't have that, but these have been seeded with a few examples or few sample data. But if you thought actually belong to a certain industry and that's the industry I want to request, you could do that. There's nothing, for example, on project management, as you could very much say, I'm into project delivery, for example. And the idea here, and circles, I'm just laboring on this a bit more, is because this is the heart of the community. If we get people working across circles properly, then it enables each person access with 600 people they can interact with and make magic happen in their own lives. So this is one area at the moment we are really building a view of who is interested in what kind of interactions and what kind of conversations, and then we'll slowly start building those circles. Longer term, the aim is to then have a dedicated app which enables more meaningful. Initially, we may end up using WhatsApp or even any other tool which is straight away out of the box, but they all come with limitations. So longer term, we can start thinking of having an app which actually enables great collaboration between people. So that's where we are with circles. Going back to the dashboard, sustainability focus, I think most of you had filled this. So this form that you had filled last year has now been embedded here. So you can choose your sustainability focus, up to 3 of them you can select, and I can see the color combinations are buggy right now. Or you can choose an organization, and if you know someone, and I would request, if you are able to say, if you have a circle, have an organization that you wish to support, and I'm just going to use example of Oxfam, and if you know someone there, just provide the details and I'll reach out to those people, and we'll start engaging with organizations that are also sustainability focused or impact focused, so we can start building a network with them as well. Some of the ideas may be even volunteering opportunities that they may have, because all of these organizations provide great opportunities, and we can start enlisting them into this activity and create opportunities for the community. So again, lots in that space. And I'm, by the way, rattling through this, so stop me at any point. Impact ideas. This is the heart of entrepreneurship. The process will be written up as to how this works, but generally it would start with, if I had an impact idea, and I'll just go with world's biggest soup kitchen, for example. Oops, biggest soup kitchen. But kitchen, and I'm just going to connect tasted food with hungry people, for example. Yeah. So this is an idea which we've talked about, but it then goes through as into a process. There's a process happening behind. I will have received a mail which says, here's an idea someone wants to work on. The process after that will be very much get on a call, understand the idea further, shape it, flesh it out. And if it is well shaped, then we can put it out to the world. Nick did, thankfully, a little bit of work before Christmas, and he wrote up his stand-up computing, which is one idea we will start building the core structure around. Link, I've taken up your offer as well to get your idea published, and Dinesh's idea will also get published from a WhereApp perspective. So we've already got 3 different ideas. I know, Balaji, you are sitting with an idea you want to share. There are lots of other such ideas like the world's biggest soup kitchen. So the focus in the coming days, weeks, months will be to start building a database of impact ideas that we think people may be interested in working with us on. And that would, again, mobilize and create interest for people to join the network, to then work with the entrepreneurs and support them. So that's starting to happen. There will be pages. A lot of the links, there are lots of links here, by the way, in the staging version. I had to switch them off because they weren't quite ready. But there will be pages which people can go directly to see what those ideas are, the ideas that we want to showcase, and then people can engage more actively with any ideas that we want to incubate through this platform. We then have digital assets. That's been well built in terms of, so you can set up your wallet keys. I think that wallet is not loading for whatever reason, but you can set up your Stellar wallet key and your Ethereum wallet key, and then it goes and fetches.
Yeah, it's not fetching because that RPC URL is broken right now for Polygon.
Yes.
Might be an issue. Yeah, we'll fix it.
Perfect. So the Polygon network has had issues under the hood recently, which is why, Balaji, your NFT wasn't showing. But if I go to my wallet here, that's my so if I go and set up my Stellar wallet key, hopefully that is working, then it will go and fetch the number of SOS tokens that are attached to my wallet. So it shows you there, and then you can go and look at the actual transactions that are placed over there. So these were all pieces of functionality that were built last year, but what we've been able to do is actually bring them together into a single fold on the website. You then have the SOS tokens. So there is going, in fact, I do want to share this a bit in more detail. So SOS is the Stellar-based token, and that will now become primarily a community token. And still trying to figure out what percentage of it would be given out to the community. But the focus initially for SOS will be to use it to build the community, and that may be up to almost 10%, it could be higher. But all of that, all of those tokens will actually be used to energize the community. And what I mean by that is an example, which, Nick, if you've responded, I've not read your messages, but I sent a message earlier to Nick. He was sending me some suggestions and some issues that he found. And a bug bounty is a good example. If somebody spots a bug, report it, and then there is a reward attached to it. So now these are common concepts that are used in the industry, but we would attach SOS rewards to it. Or someone comes up with a good idea, that would result in SOS rewards. But the way I see it is that reward program actually starts mobilizing and energizing the community. Even things like we're considering, and it would be good to get your thoughts, but anyone who comes into SmallOutside would be given maybe a starting gift token of 100 SOS tokens, for example, so that they can use them as thank you tokens if they wanted to. If, let's say, Joe helps Jane, then at the moment there isn't any exchange other than a general thank you. But if you're a token to exchange value that way, it creates a different energy, and that can then start almost giving you a metric, if you like, of how much energy is there in the system. Because the more SOS tokens are gifted out, the more vibrant the community is. So there are concepts like that that we're starting to think of. But again, watch this space, contribute to it, help shape it, if you like. But I see the SOS rewards as a very important aspect to build that community energy, whereas the better world NFTs and better coins would be used more to mobilize the startup ideas and the ecosystem relating to that. So that's what that is on the digital assets. You can go to the, sorry?
Where do I buy some of either the better coins or the SOS ones? Can I buy it right here?
So SOS coins, Chuck, we are not going to sell. So the initial plan is to only use them as reward coins. Anyone who receives those SOS can sell them in the open market. At the moment, there are people who are, I think, selling them. So people who received it. I think, let me have a look here somewhere. So there are some transactions happening there, which, but more recently it stopped. But there were transactions, like if you see those are happening in the open market, but we are not selling them because of all FCA regulations and all. But the NFTs certainly are mintable. In fact, that was, I think, Chuck, you came in a little into the call, but that was an NFT that Balaji minted today. So those are very much mintable, and you can go through the process here. So you can click the mint Better World NFTs, and then you go through the process here where you say, let's say decent work in economic growth, and you can go through the process here, say 10 Matics, and then it will do all the checks, and you can then obviously go and buy the Matics. Now this is working with MetaMask, which don't have a password to at the moment, but that would have completed the transaction, and then you would have been redirected to OpenSea to see the NFTs that are in place.
Do you plan on like making a little tutorial video or anything like that for new members?
Yes. So in fact, what we are doing is, so when Balaji said, I want to go and buy, I've made the offer to him, and I'll make it to everyone in Circle One. Any NFTs you buy, any mathematics you exchange for that, I'll give them back to you. Basically, the reason for that is very simple. One is when you go through the process, it will help us identify how do we remove the friction from the buying process. But if you are able to share back your experiences, one of the goals I certainly have is to improve the adoption of blockchain, not just through SmallOutside, but even wider. It's such a promising technology, but there's so much friction right now. So if you are able to go through the process, mint the NFTs, just let me know you've minted, and because I get the your wallet keys anyways through the OpenSea marketplace. I'll transfer the Matics back to you. But what it will do is it will help us build some interesting knowledge about how to remove friction. So that offer is there for all Circle One members if you want to go through the process and try it out, and let me know. In terms of your specific question there, Link, about a tutorial, what we've done is we've tried to make it as intuitive as possible, but it's definitely not quite there, right? So it'd be good to see if you go through the process yourself and see what you feel, what your experience is. So things like if I get rid of MetaMask here, for example, I go into, let me go to a different profile. I think all of them have MetaMask now, but maybe this one probably doesn't. So let's try this. Yeah, so this one, for example, doesn't have MetaMask installed, so it will take you through the process. It does a check, and then you have to go through installing MetaMask, and it does a bit of hand-holding for you. So the system, we are trying to use a system approach to doing things instead of documentation. It only works with Chrome. MetaMask doesn't have any plugins for Safari or other browsers. So I think IE they do have. I think they have supported browsers list here. So if you're using any of these, you can test it out and let me know your experience. That'll be good. Yeah. Does that answer your question, Link?
We might want to do a little subgroup where we just take everybody through who wants to go through, maybe like a little coaching session.
Yeah, can do that. Or what I could do is maybe just do a bit of a video, a screen recording of a full transaction, and then we can use that to talk through. And
I'll be your test subject, because literally the first wallet I ever opened was with you walking through those steps.
oh,
And
yes,
so
that.
I get the big picture. I know how this all works, but the technical actually doing it, I have no clue what I'm doing. So I think I'll give you, and I'm a rule person, so I think it'll help me also explain to my community how to do this too. So.
Yeah. No, more than happy to set something up. Maybe we do it maybe next week or something. I can set something for anyone who's interested in this. Yeah. Yeah, as in there is a lot of friction, that's for sure. People who understand it get it and they do it, but it is very painful. Even today, it feels very painful to do anything in blockchain.
Can I ask my beginner's question about NFTs?
Yeah, sure.
So, not on the page you're on. I think I can't remember which page it was on, but I got confused because it talked about, oh yeah, that page. So the bottom right paragraph where it says, remember, we are awarding BTR coins. So I got confused because my little brain could cope with using Matix to buy NFTs, but then you confused me by saying you're also going to give me BTR coins.
Yeah.
You seem to be paying me to purchase something.
Yeah. No, that's exactly what we are doing. So what we have is, if we go back to the dashboard, it will make more sense. So we've got three types of tokens. Ignore SOS because that's a community token initially anyways, but it's built on the Stellar network. It has a very different use case. But when you go through that minting action that I was showing you earlier, you are really minting the BTR coins, BTR NFTs. Now, NFTs per se are the ones that I showed earlier, which were all these NFTs, is what you're minting. But what we've done is something a little more clever, actually. Along with the NFTs, you're also generating ERC20 tokens. And what I mean by ERC20 tokens in layman's term is those are coins in their own right. They are fungible tokens, whereas BTR World NFTs are obviously non-fungible. Longer term, our intention is to put that as an ecosystem coin. So the BTR coins for the startup ecosystems, each mint. So if you go through the process of minting right now, each mint receives an NFT, which is the picture that you just saw earlier. And don't go away thinking you're minting a picture. Along with the picture, there's a value that is being attached to these things. Because longer term, again, we will be looking at how do we, for example, let's say somebody's minted the clean water and sanitation NFT, and ideas that relate to clean water and sanitation will people with NFT that belongs to clean water and sanitation will naturally get a preference to work with or on those particular ideas. So we are building a longer term value which is attached to the NFT. Now that's one side, but then the other one is the exchange using fungible tokens like coins. So if you wanted, and again, I'll give you this as an example, but let's say if Nick, and again, I'm going to use your example, but it's a very bad example. So Nick's stand-up computing club, let's say, he has a entry charge of £50, let's say, per attendee. He may say, if you pay in BTRCs, you can pay 25 BTRCs, and that's the equivalent of my £50. So you're kind of getting a benefit from those BTRs. So you can use it as real coins in order to exchange value on the ecosystem itself. So we're looking at BTRCs as ecosystem coins to support the startups. Some people may develop products and they may say, if you pay in BTRCs, you pay some in pounds, some in BTRCs. So there can be all different use cases for that.
Yeah. So I understand. Sorry.
No, go ahead, Nick.
So I understand that BTRCs, you can exchange them for something, but I was just confused why you're giving us BTRCs in return for buying an NFT. Is it because is it kind of a thank you for that one-off minting operation that we
Can I jump in and give a simple example of what I think this is like?
Please, yeah.
It's like when you go to Chuck E. Cheese's or one of those arcades as a kid, and your parents give you $20 to go and play a bunch of games, and it gives you tickets, and then you take the tickets and go and trade them in for prizes. And so you are paying for the SOS. You're paying for tokens, just like you're playing the game and paying for the game, and it's giving you tickets, in this case BTRs, to then go, and it has a value now attached to it, not necessarily monetary value. So he's not giving us money, he's giving us value tickets to then trade or use to be applied to another experience or something, a prize, so to speak, whatever SmallOutside is offering in the community. Does that kind of give a good Dosh?
I think that's a good example, although I would say that applies to both the NFTs and the coins. I think, Nick, you are wondering why are we giving you coins back, right? So are we giving you coins back? At the moment, we are doing it as a freebie. But what we need is, even to have something in the ecosystem, with each mint. By the way, the reward money keeps reducing. I think it's every 100,000 or something. So it keeps
you
halving.
Engaged.
Yeah, but you also need, it's like, it's the equivalent of printing money, if you want, as in, not that this is printing money, but in order to have a circulation, you need to generate it somewhere. So instead of saying, yeah, go and mint BTRs, as in normally you would attach a proof of work algorithm somewhere and then create coins from that. What we did is we kept it simple. You do one transaction and you get the NFT, which will have specific use cases attached to it, and the coins, which will have specific use cases. So we're not saying you're buying the coins, by the way, but it kind of creates that circulation which can then be put to use later.
Okay, because if there are no coins circulating, the NFTs are never gonna get traded.
No, the NFTs can still independently trade. So if you, let's say, just for example, and it's good, these are good questions, by the way. So if you went and minted, let's say, so these were some examples that we minted. Now this particular copper memento for gold 2, I think it's been listed. So it may have been bought by, this is Manan's ID, but he's bought it and listed it at $11. So you can sell it without BTRCs being present, but NFTs have a very specific use case Whereas, as an example of how ERC20 tokens are being used right now, is there's a lot of activity starting in the metaverse world. Even before Facebook gets there, there is already what's it called, the
Decentraland.
Decentraland. So if you go to Decentraland, there are games and there is arcades there and things like that, and people are starting to accept coins over there, crypto coins, which are like altcoins similar to BTRCs, but you can use those to buy rounds on the games and do things like that. So there are use cases where, as an alternate to money, you can use those coins, but NFT wouldn't quite be the right tool for that at that stage. So we have a vision of using ERC20 tokens longer term, which is why we're building them into the system right now. But you don't need them. We could have just done the NFTs, generated the initial seed funding, and then carried on into the startup ideas. But I think there is a lot more to blockchain that we can do in the longer term. So we kind of wove it all in, if that makes sense.
Yep. Yeah. Okay, thanks.
How do I know the price of the NFT?
So the
I want to
price
buy
is
where do I go? Where do I find the price? Because I see here 0 or 2 numbers.
right. So the way this is there are 2 or 3 parts to the price here. So first is through this. So when you go through the minting process, if you remember, I'm just going to take reduce inequalities. Go here. If you see, firstly, it says 10 matics. So BTRs or BTRCs by themselves are not, there's not enough trade in the market to say this is how much they are worth right now. But what we've done is we've pegged it against Matix, which is the Polygon Networks token. And it's there are, again, there's lots of concepts as to why we went down Polygon, but certainly it's a more cost-effective way to do it. But that's your first price. So if you click here, it will show you the price of Matix as it stands today. So the Matic price right now is £1.79 per Matic, right? Mm-hmm. So that's your first way to calculate price. So if, let's say, you were to buy 10 Matics for silver, then that is 10 to 1.79. So that's your cost for minting that particular NFT, right? So it will be, so that would be whatever, £17.90 or whatever that would be. So that's how the NFT would get priced at the point of purchase. Now, if and Polygon is marked to go higher in price over time, as in it's got some strong basis at the moment. So we think
you want to sell the SOS though. Isn't that what you wanting to sell?
No, SOS. Let's just park that for a moment. It's a different concept. I'll come
okay.
If you want. But at this stage, if you go on to MoonPay, that's the only point. MoonPay or any other system, that's the only real exchange of money you're doing. So you go there, buy those things, and mint an NFT. It's costed you real money at that point. Yeah. What you get in the process is a NFT. So you will get something like this depending on what you've minted. But let's say you've minted a BTR gold for decent work. At this stage, you have an NFT which has certain properties. So it says you were given a BTRC reward of 256 at this point. The circuit code, all of these are just different attributes to this NFT. And again, they are there to create rarity and uniqueness. But at this stage, it is a NFT. Now, you can choose and you can sell it, for example.
But can I buy from this page, from this, not this one in particular, but from OpenSea? Can I buy? Yeah. If you come back to the, previous one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can I select here one of the NFT and buy one?
Yeah, you can. So you can go here and you can pick this up and you can say, look, that's £7.65.
So that's the price here. Huh? That's the £7. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So this is something which now this believer is Manan's account. So he minted it and he has just put it on the market for $7.65. Now, if he finds a buyer for $7.65, then he's kind of already making money out of it because he's not paid $7.65 to mint copper.
Yes, I understand. Yeah.
But if you're planning to, Seb, I wouldn't recommend you buy it on OpenSea, because if you buy it on OpenSea at this stage, you will get the NFT, but you won't get the BTRCs. So that goes to the wallet at the point of minting.
Understand.
Yep. So
I'll give it a go.
Yeah, I would say go through the minting process.
Yeah.
And what and also if anyone decides to mint, just let me know. At the moment, what we'll do is we'll just transfer the Matix back to you, and then you can go and mint some more if you want. But what we want to do is just understand your experience, capture that, and I'm going to be spending a lot of time on, as in the pages that have been switched off, which I mentioned at the bottom. There is a lot of information around help pages, which will make it easier for people to understand the concept behind all these things and remove the friction. So if we find we could do something better even in the workflows, then we will do that as well. But yeah, if you can please share your experiences, that'll be great.
Yeah. Thank you, Dash. Clear.
Yeah.
Dash, I wanted to just try something. If I shared my screen and I tried to mint, and let's see if all of us are able to guide me through doing the steps one after the other.
We could do. In fact, let me quickly see. Let me see very quickly.
I haven't understood head or tail out of all that you have discussed.
Okay, why don't we do it? I think you will come unstuck at a point where, let me see, when you create a wallet, if I can transfer some Matix to you, then that way, because you'll need to buy, and I think the buying process is a little more involved if you are doing it the first time, the Matic buying process. But yeah, why don't we do it? We've got 15 minutes.
So allow me to share my screen.
Yeah, go for it.
It's just disabled for me at the moment.
Oh, do I have to enable sharing?
You may have to stop the recording because keys are going to get generated and blah blah.
Yeah, sure. Let me stop the recording. That's a good point.
I don't want my wallet to go before the funds are credited.